Hey guys, good morning. Welcome back to Southwest Victory Gardens. My name is Brandon, and on this channel we talk all about backyard gardening and desert climates. So thanks for checking out this video. I really appreciate it. Today I want to talk a little bit about how we fertilize our fruit trees here in the Southwest. It's a few days after Valentine's Day. It's actually President's Day. If you've lived in Tucson or Phoenix or anywhere here in the Southwest for any number of years, you've probably heard something like, you need to fertilize your citrus trees on the holidays, right? Valentine's Day, Memorial Day, and Labor Day. And for many, many years, that was sort of the schedule that people sort of followed to fertilize their citrus trees. A few years ago, however, the University of Arizona, right up the road here, they actually came out with all new recommendations. So that old schedule of the holiday schedule, it no longer applies to us here in the Southwest. There's a few reasons for that. Basically though, that particular fertilizer schedule is just a little bit more appropriate for other citrus growing areas. And so they came up with new recommendations for this area. So if you're still following that old holiday schedule of fertilizing on Valentine's Day, Memorial Day, and Labor Day, it's not to say that it's wrong, it's just to say that now there's a little bit more of a better method now. And so down below, I've linked to a PDF file from the university where they sort of talk about their fertilizer schedule and how you can apply fertilizers at their recommended rates. But I wanted to do a video today because I still see a few problems with their particular fertilizer schedules and recommendations. And I wanted to just sort of recommend some alternatives for you organic gardeners out there who may be interested in using more of a sustainable long-term fertilizer method versus the university's method, which is honestly, it's really geared more towards synthetic fertilizers, things like ammonium sulfates, ammonium nitrate, urea, and other poison type fertilizers like that. So now the old schedule of Valentine's Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day, there were a lot of issues with it. Number one was that the holidays were hard to remember. So some people thought it was, Valentine's Day, President's Day, and Halloween, or it was 4th of July, Memorial Day, and Christmas. No one could agree on which of the three holidays that it was supposed to be. But if you think about like how plants are and how they take up food, you really want to be providing them with a long-term, slow release food source over the course of the whole growing season, right? And the old recommendations of 3 times a year, that recommendation really works well for synthetic fertilizers because it coincides with the particular growth periods of citrus trees, right? But if we know anything about organic gardening or more of sustainable gardening methods, we know that as long as we feed the soil and we provide the soil and all of the microbiology within the soil with adequate food sources, that they're going to make and create all of the nutrients that plants need, and they're going to make them available to the plants all the time, so that whenever that plant needs a little nitrogen, it can take it. If it needs a little phosphorus, it can take it like that, right? So you're going to find that using organic fertilizers, it's going to be a little bit better if we apply them in lower amounts, but a little bit more frequently. So what I did is I put together a guide for organic gardeners, backyard gardeners that didn't want to use synthetic fertilizers, and I came up with a more appropriate schedule if you're going to be using those particular types of fertilizers. So here we have our orange tree. It's looking a little yellow this morning. Now, first of all, I want to say that if your citrus tree is yellow in the winter months, don't worry about it. We have something that's called the winter yellows, and no matter how awesome this fruit tree's growing location is, it can get all the sun it needs or all the shade it needs. It can get all the water, and it can have the best soil and everything. If you're trying to grow a citrus here in Tucson in the winter months, it's gonna struggle a little bit. It's just a little bit too cold, the soils are too cold, and so you're gonna get some yellowing of the leaves. Don't worry about it. As long as you get that fertilizer schedule going, that tree is gonna be nice and healthy. It's gonna produce a lot of fruit for you. And don't worry about those winter yellows. You know, all of that is just a tree's natural reaction to growing in a climate that it's not well suited for, right? So now let's look at this tree. And we're going to use this tree as an example, and I'm going to show you how you can use the fertilizer chart I put together, and so how you can fertilize this tree. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at that chart, and you can see here that this chart is put together and it's designed for a 5% organic fertilizer. So if you want to make your own really great, awesome 5% organic fertilizer, I put a link down below to a video that we did on how you can make your own fertilizer from scratch using locally sourced organic ingredients. So you can mix a variety of feed products together that are all plant-based and make your own 5% organic fertilizer. And if you have a lot of citrus trees, if you have big citrus trees, I really would recommend that because you're going to save a lot of money. But if you're just going to buy over the counter, you know, your favorite citrus fertilizer food, whatever you like, I would recommend using one that's about 5%. If you use a 5% fertilizer, you can follow this chart exactly. If you use one that's, say, a little higher, you're going to obviously need less fertilizer. And if you use a fertilizer that has a lower number, like 2 or 3, you're going to need a lot more, or more, let's say. Okay, so on the left-hand side here, you can see that what we want to do is first figure out what size of tree do we have, right? And so is it now this chart works well for all fruit trees, so not just citrus, but regardless, we're going to find out what size our tree is before we know how much we can put on. So this tree is about 7 feet high. It's got a trunk diameter of about about 3.5 inches. And it's got a tree canopy of about 30 square feet. So all of that tells me that this is a medium-sized tree, right? So I'm going to go to the section right here where it says medium-sized tree. And if I go all the way over to the right-hand side, you can see that this fruit tree requires 18 pounds of 5% organic fertilizer, right? And so if you're using a 10% organic fertilizer, it's obviously going to need half that, so about 9 pounds. If you're using a 2% organic fertilizer, you might need closer to, say, 40 pounds, okay? So using 5% organic fertilizer, we're gonna put 18 pounds of fertilizer on this tree over the course of the whole year, right? So in 1 year, this tree needs 18 pounds of fertilizer. So when are we going to put that fertilizer down? We're not going to do it on the old schedule, Valentine's Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day. No, instead we're going to follow more of a what I would call a more appropriate schedule for organic fertilizers. So if you come down to the bottom here and we want to find our tree on the and we have a sweet citrus or an orange tree. And so if we come over to this section, we can see that we're going to apply this fertilizer from January to June. All the fruit trees like their fertilizers applied at different times of the year. Some of them like, more of it applied early in the season. Some of them like it, over the course of the long season. You could most certainly, if you wanted to, apply the fertilizer as infrequently as you want or as frequently as you want. But what I would recommend is that anywhere between, say, 6 and 10 applications per year would be ideal. Okay, so if we look at this tree, we can see that we're going to want to apply our 18 pounds of fertilizer between the months of January and June. So that's a 6-month period. And if we go back up to the top here, we can see that each month we're going to be applying 3 pounds of this fertilizer, right? So this chart's it's pretty easy. It's pretty simple math, and anyone could really follow it. So you can see here it's February, so we missed January, so I'm just going to double up this month and do 6 pounds of this fertilizer for this first application. Okay, so that's the chart. How it works, how you read it. You can use this all-purpose organic fertilizer on all of your fruit trees. You can even use it on your native desert trees, cactus and succulents. You can use it on your vegetable garden, most certainly. Up in the top left-hand corner of the fertilizer guide, you can see how to apply it to your vegetable garden. But that's, you can use this fertilizer anywhere that you want to. Plants can't read the bag of fertilizer, right? So a plant doesn't care if it's rose food or vegetable food or citrus food. What matters to a plant is on the back and in the ingredients list. And if you look at some of those products, you'll find that all of them are the same ingredients, right? So don't worry about, getting your plant citrus fertilizer. It doesn't have to be citrus fertilizer. All you really want is an organic fertilizer with that first number is 5%, and you're gonna be good to go. You're gonna be okay. All right, so that's how you use the chart. I've already put down the fertilizer. Once you do put it down, you might top dress with a little bit of compost. And as soon as the weather warms up and we're past the freezing points, you can then put a nice 2-inch layer of wood chips. And then every time you fertilize, you just go ahead and fertilize right on top of the wood chips, water it in, and it'll work its way in over the time. So what I'm going to do is every month from here into June, I'm going to just put another 3 pounds of fertilizer down, and that's how I'm going to take care of this tree. That's it. That's how we fertilize, right? So we're not using that old schedule, we're using the new schedule, and we're using it that's more appropriate for organic fertilizers. So thank you so much for checking out the video. I really appreciate it. I hope you found it informative and that now you know how to take care of your fruit trees at home. So down below is a link to the fertilizer chart, so you can download that, print it out, you can save it, you can share it. I've also put a link to a blog post I did on this whole subject, so if you want to read about it. And then again, I put the video down below where you can learn how to make your own 5% organic fertilizer from organic ingredients, and you do it at a fraction of the cost of over-the-counter fertilizers. So again, thank you so much for checking out this video, and keep checking back. We're going to try to put out more videos as much as we can. And if you have any questions on the fertilizer, on how to grow citrus, anything like that, just leave those in the comments down below, and I'll be happy to answer those. So all right guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.